Well, let's get a bit more now. We crossed our reporter Lucanyo Galata. He joins us live from Parliament. Lucanyo, good afternoon to you. Just take us through the proceedings for today and what we can expect.
Natasha, good afternoon. Well, we are standing just a few meters outside the office of the Speaker. Now, this is where we expect that most of these new members of Parliament will be sworn in. A little bit earlier on, we got a list, of course, from Parliament, basically running us through, at least a list from the ANC, running us through, just who these new members of Parliament will be replacing. So if you'll just allow me like a few minutes, David Mabuza will be filling the vacancy that is left by Duduzi Manana, who has been redeployed to the Mpumalanga Provincial Legislature. And then there's Regina Maule. She's filling the vacancy that was left by James Kosana, who was also moved to the Mpumalanga the Provincial Legislature. Zweli Mkhize, the former ANC Treasurer General, is filling the vacancy left by the passing of Trevor Bonholm. Nathi Nhleko fills the vacancy left by the departure of Makosi Khoza, while Peggy Nkonyeni fills the vacancy that was left by the passing of Beatrice Ngobo. Nhlanhla Nene fills the vacancy left by Senzo Mchunu, who declined his nomination to Parliament, while Alvin Botis replaces Patrick Mabilo, and Nhlanhla Xaba replaces Comrade, or at least it says Comrade Thabo Manyoni on this piece of paper that we have. All of that is expected to take place in just under 30 minutes here in the office of the Speaker. Natasha?
All right, so as we've been saying, there's certainly mixed reaction to this cabinet reshuffle. Perhaps take us through some analysis of the more sort of controversial figures that have remained and been shifted around. It was a bit of a balancing act from the President last night.
Natasha, it was always going to be a balancing act when you consider, of course, what had happened to the ANC at Nasrec, where the two slates kind of there was almost an even split, if we can call it that, within the top six of the ANC. So the president is constantly having to walk this very tight line where he has to try to balance. What we spoke to some opposition parties this morning, and obviously they took great issue with the fact that Minister Bathabile Dlamini has been, she remains within cabinet. They were saying they can't understand why the president would not fire her. Someone else who's there was a former finance minister, Malusi Gigaba, who's now moved to Home Affairs. Political or opposition parties also can't understand how it is that Gigaba remains within the cabinet. And I think, so Gigaba, Dlamini are just people that opposition parties would have preferred not to have had within the new cabinet. So while the president is being praised for, moving Pravin Gordhan to public enterprises or bringing back Nhlanhla Nene as finance minister, he is being hammered or is being very criticized, for keeping someone like Bathabile Dlamini within his cabinet. Natasha?
Yeah, and criticized because I think what it looks like is that this is sort of in the interest of the party as opposed to being in the interests of the country.
Well, yes, I think one of the things that we should never forget or take very lightly is the fact that the ANC, I think, has shown that it always acts in the interests of the ANC first before it acts in the interests of the country. So in this instance as well, President Ramaphosa would have tried to keep the peace within his party. We would have tried to keep both factions, if we can call them that, of his party happy, and hence his piecing together of a cabinet where he's praised on the one hand for bringing in Minister X and bringing in Minister Y, but he's then also heavily criticized for keeping Minister X and keeping Minister Y. So I think this is going to be the what we can look forward to for at least for the next 12 to 13 months up until we have an election, where we'll see the president constantly trying to keep both sides of the ANC very happy. Just how much of that you will be successful with, well, only time will tell. But I think for the next few months, we can bet ourselves in knowing that there'll be some decisions that the president will take that the country will agree with and that they'll be appeased by. But then there'll be other decisions that will appease the ANC and not necessarily the country. Natasha?
Absolutely. All right, Lukhanyo, thanks so much. We'll leave it there for now, but I'm sure we'll check in again with you as we monitor those swearing-in proceedings that are taking place today, of course, following that reshuffle last night.